Thanks for checking out another clip of the Cashflow Contractor. We'd love to have you as a part of our audience. Click subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. So you've been intentional about not having W-2 employees really out in the field doing the work. Is that right?
It is now, yeah. So we actually
Okay.
so we talk about the sort of the progression of this structure. The first W-2 hires we made were actually carpenters, right? So the guys that were
I
doing.
see that all the time. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. Now, as we realized that a jack of all trades is not necessarily the best guy to be, like what we saw is there was more value in having, like, we were better off to have subject matter experts in each of the specialty trades to actually perform that work. And now our focus becomes less of having a jack of all trades carpenter under W-2 employment. It's now more like the focus shifts to who can effectively manage those resources. Let's give this person the tools to manage those resources, so that they can leave the trades to do their best work, right? To enable them. We really want to be an enabler, right? Is kind of the focus of that position at this point.
Yeah. Okay. So you've got this hub of W2 employees. You have really good specialty contractors that are your trade partners. That's got to be challenging in some respect of leaning so much on the trade partners. What challenges arise there? And obviously there's trade-offs at every point of the process, right?
Yeah.
But what are some of the difficult things about assembling that team? How do you keep them motivated? How do you keep them, I don't know, loyal, I guess is the word?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think, that was a huge concern of mine when we started to step away from that. At one time I had 3 W-2 carpenters employed, right? So we kind of we had a pretty decent little in-house production team with some guys who were pretty skilled at doing a pretty wide variety of things, right? They weren't electricians and plumbers, but all the carpentry or utility infielder stuff was like, hey, we got it covered, So I would say that probably the biggest, there's a couple of big challenges that I think are ever present. The first one that comes to mind is it's actually the challenge isn't so much with the trade partners of the employees. It actually becomes this internal problem of identifying who are we and what's important to us and what do I actually want to communicate to these folks so that they can be successful and I'm not upset at what they're doing or not doing, right? It's really easy to start, blaming people that didn't do things the way you want them done. Well, did you create the environment to actually allow them to do that?
Yeah.
So I think that it starts internally. I'm kind of a fan of Jocko Willink, extreme ownership, sort of a philosophy, right? I've never worked with Echelon Front, but I believe that most problems are either they're solved either by leadership or people, which is kind of the same thing, right? Almost all the problems we have are people problems. So communicating identifying what you want your culture and your values to be, and then communicating that out to finding the right employees or trade partners who espouse those same cultural beliefs is a challenge, right? And then there's we've done a variety of things to try to solve that problem. I can't say that I'm not sure we'll ever have it completely solved, right?
Yeah.
But we've definitely made headway there. Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, you have to have the alignment on values. And it's a good point that I don't think enough people think about. Maybe they think about values and hiring for fit if it's a W-2 employee, but on the trade partner aspect, it's not just about getting the job done. You do have to have that alignment as well, because when you have to communicate, like you said, like if you're having to communicate regularly and often and have alignment on what you're communicating about, the trade partners have to be of the same mindset as you. And I guess that's kind of, it's interesting how you structure it, where you were very clear that, hey, W-2, you are a part of the hub. And I like the 3 things that you said. Will you say those again, of what they focus on? Client communication, and what were the other 2?
Coordination, or communication. I could probably break it down to two: coordination or communication. Sort of one and the same, and then client experience.
Client experience. Okay.
We're as the general contractor, as the builder, we're hired as the single throat to choke here, right? And so a client is we want all information from the client side and the trade partner side and the jurisdictional authority, right? Like we're kind of here to manage this whole experience, and so that's a top priority for my W2 team.
That's great. And then let's go through I want to go through like your qualification partner process for your trade partners, because that sounds like a really big, important aspect if you're going to be relying so heavily on them. How many specialty trade partners do you have? And do you have a bench of like, hey, they're not available because they took another job, so I got to go to this one? Like, what's your process for managing your trade partners?
Wow, those are really good questions. So the first one is sort of I have a tendency to get too far into the weeds and the details, and it's like,
let's get it. Let's get all the dirty details. And
I don't want to bore people. But
no, it's good.
We'll start with one of the most effective tools that I've found, and we kind of did this about a year and a half ago. We went through. Are you familiar with EOS?
Yeah. We talk about EOS on the show quite a bit.
Yeah. So, which I think is a really effective framework to structure your business, like to bring clarity, right? That's one of their big mission points.
Yeah.
We made the investment to actually work with an implementer for a period of about a year. We're not currently doing it. I would say we're sort of self-implementing at this point, and we're mostly running on EOS, right? That's still kind of the underlying framework that we want. We're not like militant or religious about it.
Sure.
But one of the most valuable things that we got out of that EOS process was defining our core values, and then using, they've got a tool called the People Analyzer, and I have found that to be a really, really effective tool to hire, to evaluate existing people, right? The whole thing of EOS is right person, right seat, right? So in order to find, right person means they align with your cultural values and your core values of your company, right? That's the right person category. The right seat is, okay, here's the role, the definition of that role, and how well that person executes the duties of that role, right? So kind of these two components of right person, right seat. So that, it's a really easy thing to make that jump for W2 employees, of course, right? People you're bringing in, whether they're a project manager or a attendant or a project coordinator or whatever the kind of roles you have in the company. It's really effective at vetting and finding good trade partners too, right? Like it's almost like, you don't think, I didn't think of it as first, but as like, well, these guys they're just extensions of our company. They're not wearing the Bunn & Sons shirt, but they are representing us, and so
100%.
Are they the right person in the right seat? Right seat's a little bit easier to identify. It's like, hey, we have a drywall scope. Let's get the drywallers, right?
Right.
But it's very effective in vetting out and kind of helping to identify the trade partners who do share those cultural values, those core values of our company, which for us is positivity, selflessness, persistence, moral courage, and growth orientation.
Thanks for checking out a clip from the Cashflow Contractor. We have full episodes where we go deep on topics that help you grow a construction business that runs without you, so you can have less stress, more time, more money. Now, we've got other videos, other clips, but if you want to check out the full episode for this clip, you can click wherever our editor put it. It might be here, might be there, might be over my face, I don't know. But thank you for checking us out. We'd love to have you as a part of our audience. So subscribe or check out a full episode wherever you get podcasts.